Hello, YouTubers. Today is 7/29/2016. Weeple Willow 2 Daily Data News coming at you. This is the New York Times. All right. Is Donald Trump a racist? Well, let's find out. This is published July 23rd, 2016. Okay. There's a young Donald Trump. And whoever that guy is, I guess that's his daddy. I don't know. Let's see. Donald Trump and, his dad, Fred, in 1973 at Trump Village in New York City. Has the party of Lincoln just nominated a racist to be president? We shouldn't toss around such accusations lightly. So I've looked back over more than 40 years of Donald Trump's career to see what the record says. One early red flag arose in 1973 when President Richard Nixon's Justice Department, not exactly the radicals of the day, sued Trump and his father, Fred Trump, for systematically discriminating against blacks in housing rentals. I've waded through 1,021 pages of documents from that legal battle, and they are devastating. Donald Trump was then president of the family real estate firm, and the government amassed overwhelming evidence that the company had a policy of discriminating against blacks, including those serving in the military. To prove the discrimination, blacks were repeatedly dispatched as testers to Trump apartment buildings to inquire about vacancies, and white testers were sent soon after. Repeatedly, the black person was told that nothing was available, while the white tester was shown the apartments for immediate rental. A former building superintendent working for the Trumps explained that he was told to code any application with a black person with the letter C for colored, apparently so the office would know to reject it. A Trump rental agent said the Trumps wanted to rent only to Jews and executives and discouraged renting to blacks. Donald Trump furiously fought the civil rights suit in the courts and the media, but the Trumps eventually settled on terms that were widely regarded as a victory for the government. 3 years later, the government sued the Trumps again for continuing to discriminate. In fairness, those suits date from long ago, and the discriminatory policies were probably put in place not by Donald Trump, but by his father. Fred Trump appears to have been arrested at a Ku Klux Klan rally in 1927. Woody Guthrie, who lived in a Trump property in the 1950s, lambasted Fred Trump in recently discovered papers for stirring racial hatred. Yet, even if Donald Trump inherited his firm's discriminatory policy, he allied himself decisively in the 1970s housing battle against the civil rights movement. Another revealing moment came in 1989 when New York City was convulsed by the Central Park jogger case, a rape and beating of a young white woman. 5 black and Latino teenagers were arrested. Trump stepped in, denounced Mayor Ed Koch's call for peace, and bought full-page newspaper ads calling for the death penalty. The 5 teenagers spent years in prison before being exonerated. In retrospect, they suffered a modern version of a lynching, and Trump played a part in whipping up the crowds. As Trump moved into casinos, discrimination followed. In the 1980s, according to a former Trump casino worker, Kip Brown, who was quoted by the New Yorker when Donald and Ivana came to the casino. The bosses would order all the black people off the floor. They put us all in the back. In 1991, a book by John O'Donnell, who had been president of the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, quoted Trump as criticizing a black accountant and saying, "Black guys counting my money? I hate it. The only kind of people I want counting my money are short guys that wear yarmulkes every day," whatever. I think that the guy is lazy. And it's probably not his fault, because laziness is a trait in blacks. It really is. I believe that. It's not anything they can control. O'Donnell wrote that for months afterward, Trump pressed him to fire the black accountant until the man resigned of his own accord. Trump eventually denied making those comments, but in 1997, in a Playboy interview, he conceded the stuff O'Donnell wrote about me is probably true. The recent record may be more familiar. Trump's suggestions that President Obama was born in Kenya, his insinuations that Obama was admitted to Ivy League schools only because of affirmative action, his denunciations of Mexican immigrants as, in many cases, criminals, drug dealers, rapists, his calls for a temporary ban on Muslims entering the United States, his dismissal of an American-born judge of Mexican ancestry as a Mexican who cannot fairly hear his case, his reluctance to distance himself from the Ku Klux Klan in a television interview, his retweet of a graphic suggesting that 81% of white murder blacks. The actual figure is about 15%. Trump has also retweeted messages from white supremacists or Nazi sympathizers, including two from an account called White Genocide TM with a photo of the American Nazi Party's founder. Trump repeatedly and vehemently denies any racism, and he has deleted some offensive tweets. The Daily Stormer, a neo-Nazi racist website that has endorsed Trump, sees that as going full wink, wink, wink. Update: after this column was published, the Trump campaign emailed me and the following statement. Donald Trump has a lifetime record of inclusion and has publicly rebuked groups who seek to discriminate against others on numerous occasions. To suggest otherwise is a complete fabrication of the truth. My view is that racist can be a loaded word, a conversation stopper more than a clarifier, and that we should be careful not to use it simply as an epithet. Moreover, Muslims and Latinos can be of any race, so some of those statements technically reflect not so much racism as bigotry. It's also true that with any single statement, it is possible that Trump misspoke or was misconstrued. And yet, here we have a man who for more than 4 decades has been repeatedly associated with racial discrimination or bigoted comments about minorities, some of them made on television for all to see. While any one episode may be ambiguous, what emerges over more than 4 decades is a narrative or consistent pattern, and I don't see what else to call it but racism. All right, correction, July 25th, 2016, an earlier version of a caption that accompanied a photo of Donald J. Trump and his father misidentified the borough where Trump Village is located. It is in the Brooklyn not, it is in Brooklyn, not Queens. All right, there you have it, Carol.